In the last few months, MicroStrategy has been stacking BTC faster than ever before. It's clear that Michael Saylor's bet on Bitcoin has paid off, and other companies are starting to follow suit. As the US government debates creating a Bitcoin reserve, investors are quickly realizing that MicroStrategy has been front-running them for years. So, today we'll take a look at what MicroStrategy has been up to lately, yes, including its recent rebrand, and what it could all mean for BTC's price. My name is Guy, let's dig in. Now, if you've been following us for a while, you'll know that we like to keep you updated with MicroStrategy's latest activity, since it's spearheaded by the man who is basically Bitcoin's patron saint, Michael Saylor. The man who recently appeared on the cover of Forbes under the headline, The Bitcoin Alchemist. And yes, as many have pointed out, the last time a major crypto industry figure appeared on the cover of Forbes, it was Sam Bankman-Fried. So let's just hope this time is different and the curse of the Forbes cover doesn't strike again. Anyway, in case you missed our last update, here's a quick TLDR on Saylor's company. MicroStrategy was founded in 1989 by 3 MIT students, Sanju Bansal, Thomas Sparr, and of course, Michael Saylor. The company offers business intelligence solutions, providing tools to business managers to help them maximize productivity and increase their profits. And for a long time, this was pretty much all they were known for. In 2020, however, everything changed. That's because Michael Saylor took the unprecedented step of spending $250 million to buy more than 21,000 BTC, despite the company having absolutely nothing to do with crypto at the time. You see, Saylor had swallowed the orange pill when he realized he needed to protect his company's treasury reserves from devaluing through inflation. In his words, quote, "We just had the awful realization that we were sitting on top of a $500 million ice cube that's melting." And if you're wondering, why not just use gold as a store of value? The answer is convenience. Saylor has often said that BTC is superior to gold, since Bitcoin's digital nature means that it can be stored much easier and transferred anywhere around the world almost instantaneously. In fact, Saylor is so bullish on BTC that he even stepped down from his role as CEO to become executive chairman, purely so he could focus more of his time on Bitcoin. Now, MicroStrategy is famous for its buy and hodl strategy, which has helped it accumulate an ungodly amount of BTC, an amount that has been growing at a rapid rate in recent months. For perspective, in our last update, just a few months ago, it was holding 279,420 BTC. At the time of shooting this, however, the company now holds a whopping 471,107 BTC. And it's likely that by the time you're watching this video, that number is significantly higher, since Saylor seems to announce a new buy every week. Usually it's just as we start our Monday news live streams here on the channel. We're still waiting for that shout-out, Michael, by the way. Anyway, as if that wasn't bullish enough, MicroStrategy was recently added to the Nasdaq 100. Now this is huge news because it effectively means that mainstream investors with exposure to the Nasdaq 100 also have exposure to Bitcoin via MicroStrategy's MSTR stock. And in case it wasn't obvious, that is a hell of a lot of people. And before we go any further, I should add that MicroStrategy recently rebranded. Yes, MicroStrategy will henceforth be known as, drumroll please, Strategy. Well, I suppose when you hold close to 500,000 BTC, there's nothing micro about you anymore. Nice inclusion of the Bitcoin symbol in the new logo as well. If it wasn't obvious before what the strategy in question was, well, it sure is now. Anyway, this brings us to how MicroStrategy, what? Strategy is able to hoard so much BTC. Well, the company has used various funding methods to obtain it in the past. When it began purchasing BTC, it simply converted its cash reserves into BTC. Since then, Strategy has resorted to other methods, however. Primarily, the company now uses convertible notes to raise the capital required to build its massive stash of Bitcoin. For those wondering, a convertible note is a type of debt security that's similar to a loan, which investors can convert into a company's shares. By offering convertible notes, Strategy is able to quickly raise funds from investors, allowing it to buy BTC by the bucket load. Now, convertible notes also benefit the investor since they won't immediately be diluted if things go south. That's because convertible notes allow investors to receive their initial investment back, providing them with some downside protection. Now, what this means is that Strategy can take full advantage of BTC's price action, which reflects in the company's stock price. So, if BTC rallies and Strategy performs well, MSTR's price will rally too. And because Strategy is essentially a leveraged play on Bitcoin, MSTR's price is more volatile and will pump more than BTC as a result. In fact, MSTR has significantly outperformed BTC in percentage terms since Q1 of 2024. Now, if you watched our last update, you'll know that new Strategy CEO Phong Le acknowledged that the company's main value proposition had shifted more towards Bitcoin and declared that Strategy was now the world's first Bitcoin treasury company, or BTC. Very clever. Le then revealed the company's uber-bullish 21-21 plan. Essentially, this involves raising $42 billion in the 3 years between now and 2027. This $42 billion raise will be split evenly between $21 billion in equity and $21 billion in fixed-rate securities. Oh, and by the way, $21 billion was selected deliberately as a nod to Bitcoin's supply of 21 million BTC. Meanwhile, the $42 billion total was a nod to 42 being the meaning of life, a reference to The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The geeks have truly inherited the Earth. What's crazy is that according to Le, Strategy's $21 billion equity raise will be the biggest ATM program in the history of capital markets. For those unaware, ATM stands for At the Market, and an ATM equity program allows companies to raise money by selling new shares on the open market. The company also announced a new KPI called the BTC yield, which Phong Le describes as, quote, the percentage change period to period of the ratio between Bitcoin holdings and assumed diluted shares outstanding. In other words, it measures how the amount of BTC per share changes from one period to the next. Hold up a second there, Guy. Sorry to interrupt, folks, but I just wanted to very quickly tell you about the Coin Bureau deals page. Now, this is the place where we have put together some of the very best deals and promos in all of crypto. So you can think things like exchange sign-up bonuses, trading fee discounts, and money off of hardware wallets, and much, much more besides. So if you want to check that out, coinbureau.com/deals is the place to go, or you can just use the link in the description of this video down below. Thanks very much, and now back to you, Guy. Okay, so now that we know about Strategy and how it funds its massive purchases of BTC, let's zoom in on the more recent buying activity. To refresh your memory, in our last update, Strategy was holding a total of 279,420 BTC, with the last purchase being on the 11th of November when it bought $2 billion worth. As it happens, this purchase kicked off what would be the start of a weekly trend. Since then, Strategy has been going on an absolute spending spree, with Saylor announcing billions of dollars worth of BTC purchases every 7 days. Intriguingly, this is the first time there's been a clear pattern to Strategy's buying habits. We should note, though, that typically Strategy will purchase BTC sometime in the week before Saylor makes the announcement on X, so it's worth keeping that in mind. Okay, so let's start with the 11th of November, when Strategy bought 27,200 BTC for a little over $2 billion. On the 18th of November, the company spent more than double that amount, buying 51,780 BTC for $4.6 billion. 1 week later, on the 25th of November, Saylor announced that Strategy had bought another 55,500 BTC for a jaw-dropping $5.4 billion. This was Strategy's largest weekly purchase and was also the single largest BTC purchase by dollar value in the company's history. Truly insane. This means that by the end of November, Strategy was sitting on an impressive total of 386,700 BTC, and the company had achieved a BTC yield of 35.2%, as per Saylor's tweet, or whatever it is tweets are called these days. Now, Strategy seemed to slow down a bit in December, although it was still spending crazy amounts of money. The next buy was on the 2nd of December, when the company bought 15,400 BTC for $1.5 billion. 1 week later, Saylor announced another buy of 21,550 BTC for $2.1 billion. Then, on the 16th of December, another 15,350 BTC had been bought for $1.5 billion. And this is where Strategy decided it was time to put the brakes on. Although, to be fair, this is perhaps understandable. BTC's price had just broken above $100,000 for the first time ever. On the 23rd of December, Strategy spent $561 million acquiring 5,262 BTC. 1 week later, on the 30th of December, Strategy bought 2,138 BTC for only $209 million. Well, we say only, but that is still an insane amount of money to be throwing at BTC as it hits a key zone of resistance. And this brings Strategy's December total to a whopping 446,400 BTC and a BTC yield of 47.8%. Crazy stuff. And so to January, which started off slow relative to the weeks prior. Strategy's first purchase of 2025 was on the 6th of January, when it bought a mere 1,070 BTC for a paltry $101 million. This ramped up as the month went on, however, because on the 13th of January, Saylor announced Strategy had raked in another 2,530 BTC for $243 million. Saylor was then a day late for our live stream, none taken, Michael, because 8 days later, on the 21st of January, he announced that Strategy bought exactly 11,000 BTC for $1.1 billion. And on the 27th of January, an extra 10,107 BTC was bought for another $1.1 billion. So, this brings Strategy's total stash as of the end of January to a mind-melting 471,107 BTC, which is the total it holds at the time of shooting this video. Notably, Strategy's January BTC yield was much lower than previous KPI results at just 2.9%. It's also worth pointing out that Strategy recently recorded a $670 million net loss for Q4 of 2024. Well, I suppose if you're sitting on over $40 billion worth of BTC, then, well, what's a few hundred million between friends, eh? Now, Michael Saylor's constant buying and hodling has made Strategy the biggest publicly traded company to hold BTC. Not bad for a company that was founded in the late 80s, long before crypto was even a thing. Not only is this an incredible achievement, but it's also inspired other companies to follow in its footsteps. For instance, there's Semler Scientific, a company that specializes in providing tech to healthcare providers. At the time of shooting, the company holds 2,321 BTC. Semler announced its plans to build a Bitcoin treasury reserve in May of last year, when it bought 581 BTC for around $40 million. Semler's SMLR stock pumped 30% in a day on the news. Another example is Genius Group, an AI firm that currently holds 420 BTC. Genius announced a Bitcoin-first strategy back in November when it made its first purchase of 110 BTC. The company plans to commit an impressive 90% or more of its current and future reserves to BTC. Its GNS stock pumped 66% in a day on the back of the announcement. Then there's Rumble, a video sharing platform which recently bought its first ever stack of BTC, although it's not clear exactly how much at this stage. However, Rumble's CEO, Chris Pavlovski, made the announcement and said, quote, "It won't be the last," and thanked Michael Saylor for inspiring the move. The company's RUM stock rallied an impressive 80% in a day on the announcement. And there's also Boyar Interactive, a gaming company based in Hong Kong. Boyar has been accumulating crypto since January last year, namely BTC and ETH. What's interesting is that towards the end of 2024, Boyar announced it was adjusting its reserves by swapping around 14,200 ETH for 515 BTC. Today, Boyar holds a total of 3,183 BTC. And there's also a load of companies looking to start stacking sats in the coming weeks and months. For example, there's Jiva Technologies, a Canadian wellness and plant-based e-commerce firm that recently approved a $1 million Bitcoin treasury plan. Another company jumping on the bandwagon is Hoth Therapeutics, a clinical-stage biopharmaceutical company based in New York that recently allocated $1 million for a Bitcoin reserve. And more recently, Nuva, an EV energy tech company based in San Diego, announced plans to use 30% of its spare cash to buy BTC. And just to spice things up, there's also Spirit Blockchain Capital, which has been building a reserve made up of none other than Dogecoin. Spirit's goal is to create products that allow Doge to be used as payments more freely. It acquired Dogecoin Portfolio Holdings Corporation in October last year. The company intends to expand to other altcoins and plans to use DeFi protocols to earn a yield on its reserves. So, you get the picture. The point is, it's clear that many companies have kept a close eye on Strategy and have seen how its MSTR stock has performed alongside BTC's rally. So, we should probably expect to see the number of companies with BTC on their balance sheets skyrocket in the coming months and years. Now, speaking of crypto reserves, this brings us to a question that you've probably wondered about already. If the US creates a Bitcoin reserve of some kind, how would this affect Strategy? Well, we reckon this would be insanely bullish for MSTR's stock price. As institutional adoption of Bitcoin continues to grow, this will push BTC's price upwards, and by extension, MSTR will pump as a result. Recall that MSTR is essentially a leveraged play on BTC. Not only that, but the US government's adoption of Bitcoin would legitimize Saylor's approach of building a Bitcoin reserve. Consider that the Strategic Reserve Bill currently in play would require buying 1 million BTC over the space of 5 years. Strategy has nearly half of that amount already. This legitimacy would attract even more investors to the company's MSTR stock, pushing the price even higher. The catch is that two entities holding such insane amounts of BTC would restrict supply and increase volatility. That's because there would be significantly less BTC available on the open market, meaning that the remaining liquid supply would actually be much more sensitive to any buys or sells. This is especially true when you consider all the BTC that's been lost over the years, or even the 1 million BTC believed to be held by Satoshi Nakamoto. So, while everyone knows that BTC has a total supply of 21 million, in reality, the actual supply of BTC is now much lower, specifically somewhere in the range of 16 million. Another risk, meanwhile, is that if the US government opts to include a range of altcoins in its reserve, this could potentially water down Bitcoin's performance. It wouldn't be long before investors started turning their attention away from BTC and towards other cryptos. If BTC's price began to struggle as a result, MSTR's price could be at serious risk. So then, all of this brings us to the big question. What does all of this mean for crypto? Well, considering just how much BTC Strategy has been aping into lately, and how much it plans to buy over the next few years, it's safe to say that things are looking incredibly bullish. For perspective, since our last update just a few months ago, Strategy has invested roughly $16.8 billion in Bitcoin. That is absolutely nuts, and it could be even more by the time you're watching. Of course, this is made possible by that 21-21 plan that we mentioned earlier. What's crazy, though, is that this means that more than a third of the $42 billion target has been raised already. That said, though, it's quite possible that Strategy slows down its spending as the bull market hype fizzles out, and it could resume buying again once the bear market returns and drives the crypto market downwards. Come to think of it, this plan would make the most sense, since Strategy would be able to scoop up as much BTC as possible. We can't even begin to imagine how big the company's treasury would be if that happens. In any case, as Strategy's Bitcoin balance continues to grow, this will inevitably cause other investors to feel the FOMO. What's more is that it could even draw media attention, creating even more FOMO. Case in point, this is exactly what sparked the 2020 bull market. The irony is this would all result in even more investors buying MSTR stock, which would give Strategy even more money to buy even more BTC. This would help push up BTC's price, generating even more FOMO and drawing even more people to MSTR, and the whole process starts again. It's as if, in theory, Saylor has found the unlimited money glitch. Of course, there are some concerns, namely that BTC's supply could become heavily concentrated with just a few entities, especially as other companies adopt similar strategies. To be frank, this is almost certainly not the decentralization Satoshi had in mind when they created Bitcoin all those years ago. The caveat to this is that this was always bound to happen. Bitcoin's potential is precisely why so many people helped support the Bitcoin network back when BTC was worth literally nothing. So, as Bitcoin took off, there was always going to be one entity more bullish than the rest. It just so happened to be strategy. Now, if you found this video insightful, show it by smashing that like button. It really helps the channel out. And what do you think of MicroStrategy's rebrand? Should Michael Saylor rebrand himself to Saylor BTC? Let us know in the comments. And if you're wondering what to watch next, why not check out our latest video right over here. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you again soon.